even if a kid becomes successful in the future, becomes a leader, it affects them in such a way that they become maybe dictators and they become violent people. Yeah.
George, and today I'm doing a little street questions. I have like 5 questions here around family violence that I'd like you to contribute to. And to start us off, I wanted to ask if what does family violence mean to you?
Personally, to me, family violence, just the word is negative. It means no joy, lack of happiness. There's also a notion of danger.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
I would not recommend it at all.
Yeah.
Just violence, leave alone family violence, but violence in any area.
Any context.
Yeah,
yes.
But now it gets worse if it's family violence, because family, as you know, is the core unit of the society.
The family is the core unit of the society.
Yeah, so that's a negative thing.
It makes a lot of sense. So, family violence. Why do you think we have to deal with family violence? Why do you think it's happening?
Mostly, I think for me, family violence happens because of either upbringing. That's one, and then there's just pressure and stress from society.
Yes.
So people carry stress from different aspects outside, and they bring it at home. Why? Because if you are the alpha in the house, it's easier to bring your negativity from outside to people who are seemingly weak, who are your family, people you're supposed to be leading.
Yes.
Yeah, so for me, it's just stress brought into the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So stress can be a big factor in generating family violence.
Yes, I think.
And normally when these things happen, we forget the place of kids in violence and stuff. It's happening, I feel like violence against kids is so normalized.
Yeah.
Back to an extent, someone can say, "Sisi si watoto."
Exactly.
Because it's like bad things should only be happening to kids and not, to these people. So I wanted to know, how do you think family violence affects kids, both when they are young and when they are grown? Yes. What are the effects of that?
Funny enough, I was watching 2 documentaries the other day, over the weekend, about Saddam Hussein and then Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
And apparently what the underlying factor there was that their parents or their stepdads used to beat them. So it translates even if a kid becomes successful in the future, becomes a leader, it affects them in such a way that they become maybe dictators and they become violent people. Yeah. So it takes away somebody's soul, especially to kids. Yeah, because they grow up knowing that that's the only way. Yeah, so for me, violence, especially to kids, I don't think kids should even experience violence in whatever form or capacity.
That's very powerful when you actually linked childhood trauma, to a result that we all know. When you talk of Saddam Hussein, we all know Saddam Hussein.
Exactly.
When you talk of Osama bin Laden, we all know these people, but we only know them in the context that the media showed to us what they had done, but we don't know the stories of their childhood.
Exactly.
Now when you now collect the violence in their childhood to the kind of people that they became, then that's a prime example of what violence in families can do to children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This 4th question might be a little quite personal. So if you are not comfortable with it, we'll just let it pass. But I wanted to ask if, at a personal level, you have witnessed family violence at home, and if it affected you in any way. Yes.
I'm happy to say I was brought up by 2 very loving parents.
Yes.
I've never experienced violence in the house. I've never seen my dad and mom fight, even if they've had squabbles. They've never brought it in front of us. So I'm lucky in that capacity.
Yes.
The much I can say I've seen is discipline.
Yes.
Case of discipline where I went wrong and I was given a few strokes of cane, which is normal in our context.
Yes.
But outright violence where I've seen people fighting and me being injured, I thank God I've never experienced that.
In comparison,
Yeah.
because you can only appreciate the state where you are in when you compare against something.
Yes.
Growing up, the kids you are playing with, the community of kids that you kept at that particular moment.
Yeah.
Did you kind of sense or feel or see certain kids who are going through family violence, and how did it show?
That I've experienced when I was much more older, because when you're younger, when you're playing, it's really hard to pick up such stuff.
Yes, yes.
But as you grow older, as you become a teenager, you see kids who feel suppressed, who cannot express themselves
Yes.
because of violence.
Yes,
I've
yes.
seen. There was a time I was at my brother's place,
Yes.
and there was a kid who was afraid to go home
Yes.
because the mom was out of the place. She even came to call to ask me to go to speak with the mom, just to tell the mom that she was in my brother's place. Very small kid, it was 11 or
Yeah, that's a small baby.
totally terrified.
Yes.
So I've seen what violence
What
can
violence
do.
can do.
Yeah,
Like violence can make a kid be terrified of the very person they're supposed to be running to
Exactly.
when the world is not fair on them.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
a child is terrified of the parent.
Yeah. Who should be the protector?
Who should be the protector?
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. As we summarize, thank you so much for your contributions, but I wanted to know, what do you think we can do? What can be done to curb or just deal with family violence?
That's a very good question.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it's very broad.
Yeah.
I think as a society, our values,
Yes.
we just need to instill value.
Yes.
Value-based system of education,
Yes.
value-based upbringing. Just we should stick to teaching people values.
Yes.
Yeah. And when we have core values,
Yes.
things that we believe in,
Yes.
it will be very hard to take out your animosity or your frustration onto somebody who you think is weaker.
Yes.
Once your value systems have been put in a good place,
Yes.
you have a good grounding.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we are good
Then
to go.
violence got no space
Yes.
to come in.
Exactly.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Value systems,
Yes.
our value systems.
Yes.
Because as much as you can do much at home, children are still raised in a community
Exactly.
that is guided by values, communal values.
Values,
So if
exactly.
you have these values instilled in kids,
Yes.
instilled in the people within the community,
Yeah.
then violence got no space.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Asante.
Nimesikia.